1.
Welcome to the Beefy Boys breakdown. We recap every single fight on every single card, and it's episode 127. We're going over UFC Fight Night, Pavlovich versus Blaydes, and man, this is about as stacked as like an Apex Fight Night's gonna get, man. I mean, Bobby Green, Pavlovich, Blaydes, fucking Semmelsberger, Wells. I mean, Brogan Walker to a lesser extent, Jared Gordon to a lesser extent, Silva Tavares. I mean, for an Apex Fight Nights, we talked about there's kind of Apex Fight Nights, Arena Fight Nights, and then pay-per-views, kind of 3 tiers at this point now, and about as good of an Apex Fight Night as you're gonna find.
I feel like most of the fights deserve their place as an Apex card. The main event did not. Should have been like probably on a pay-per-view, if I'm just being honest. Because
could have been, right? Like, I was a little shocked.
Here's my reasoning behind saying that is Blaydes doesn't draw well. Do you disagree with that? Like, I think that's just like a fair statement, right? Like, his style isn't what people like to see at heavyweight.
Yeah,
now,
sure.
Pavlovich's style is exactly what you want to see at heavyweight, but
yes,
he doesn't speak English. He's from Russia, so you have that little bit of like political dissent for people that care about it, which he's obviously unattached. Like, he doesn't care. He's a fighter. But there is that dissent from people. So what I'm saying is like, they don't sell well. So why make them the main event on a fight night instead of putting them on a main card on a pay-per-view so that they can be exposed to like your casual fan that actually bought the pay-per-view for a major fighter, but then they get to see a knockout artist in Pavlovich or a seasoned vet like Blaydes that's been picking up his striking. Like, I just think they're not selling their next title fight against Jones very well if this is to be the title eliminator.
See, I think it's because I don't think when Jones is your champ, you can think 3 moves ahead, because he's come out and said that Stipe might be his last fight, and then you might have a vacant title situation, which I feel you should build Pavlovich for that, because he's definitely going to be in it.
But that's my point, is like, if Jones is going to walk away and Stipe's probably done after one more, like, all right, then, and Ngannou's gone, we got to start building these young guys.
You know what they may also just count on, which is going to sound lazy and cliche, but like, heavyweight world title fight, like, you could argue, like, sells itself. Now, some of the numbers like may disagree on some Cyril Gane pay-per-views, but it's kind of the old adage, right? Like,
also, let me ask you this: what heavyweight title fight has not been a main event on a pay-per-view? It's none. It's simply done by weight class, right? Like, it doesn't matter who's the bigger draw on the card. Like, the heavier weight always fights last. So I'm just saying
which
that, like,
is a little weird.
I agree with that. I'm glad you say that, because I think that if like Izzy was fighting and Yuri were fighting, like, Izzy should fight last, but that won't be how that works.
Very weird and antiquated, for sure. But man, we got a main event on our hands with an absolute heater to lead us off, man. And everybody knew it was going to be. Dana White wanted trying to sound like the smart guy. If you don't know, now you know. Everybody knew. At least the hardcores knew.
Yeah, all the hardcores knew. Like pull
Semmelsberger, Wells.
Pull the horn for the semi. Crank the lightsaber for the Jedi. Semi the Jedi is here.
Yes, sir. And then Jeremiah Wells. I mean, he's been running through everybody, honestly. Kind of a late start for him. He's viewed as a prospect, but he's 36 years old, but he's in great shape, and he doesn't like fight old. He's fast, so fuck it, really, who cares? And then Semmelsberger, tall guy, insanely explosive guy. Like, he's like the welterweight Pavlovich. Like, he just hits like people just fall. Even Wells, we'll get to it, but I mean, when Semmelsberger lands clean, like, I'm not convinced that there's like a chin in the welterweight division. Now, there's other skills where people far surpass him. But as far as, like, eating a clean shot from Semmelsberger, like, I'm still not convinced there's anybody in the weight class that's really up to the task.
Semmelsberger is the one that played safety at Boston College in college. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I'm not sold on Boston College, but yes, football background. Yes, I know that much for sure. Safety, yeah.
I'm almost positive of Boston College, like a college in Boston, maybe not Boston College.
Okay, yeah, somewhere in the East Coast.
Yeah, sure. And I don't think it was like super low division. Like, I think it was at least D2. But point being is that I believe when he said he played safety, he weighed like 205, 210. So over in the fight at 170, it already tells you, like, he's cutting a good amount of weight. Like, he's a big dude. He's going to carry a lot of power down, and he's going to rehydrate, like, to probably 185, 182 when he's in the cage. Like, he's not a small welterweight.
Oh, he's far from small, and he's still pretty goddamn fast. Like I said, the fast twitch from the football background. I'm trying to see how tall he is right now. He is
6 foot.
6'1". Yeah. So I mean, and then Wells was pretty short at like 5'9". So interesting matchup. I think that most people thought that Wells would have the wrestling advantage going into it, but he also throws fucking gas. So everybody knew this was going to be a barn burner and did not disappoint. Also, rounds 1 and 2, like I could argue, are
Interesting to
impossible to
score.
score.
Interesting to
Yeah,
score. It's all
interesting,
about
impossible.
valuation
A lot of I
card.
words.
How do you score a fight is this, and let's get into it, right? Because 1 and 2, if you score one way, you're going to score 2 pretty much the same way. I think that's fair to say.
What?
I think 3 stands on its own as a clear round to Wells, but 1 and 2 are entirely up for debate as to how you actually
Yeah.
score fights on the principal rubric of fight scoring.
Yes, and it really like made me ask those. So like it made me evaluate like what am I looking for here? What do I appreciate here? Also, just quick on the betting tip, it was minus 110 each way, literal coin flip. I rode with Simmelsberger. I want to say Michael rode with Wells, and I think
He
this was a
did.
no bet
No
for
bet
you.
for me because
So,
I thought either guy has a chance to win in any facet of the fight.
which I felt the same way. Like honestly, I wasn't like the most bullish. I Wells gets in kind of wars. Like Wells gets touched, and like I said, like I have the ultimate faith in Simmelsberger's like just nuclear power, which still do. And so like that was my math in my brain. It's like I was kind of leading the charge for Simmelsberger. Like as far as our show goes, I was really the only one really sticking my neck out there for him, and it was just like, well, Wells gets hit, and when Simmelsberger hits people, it's an early night. So like that was kind of the math I was doing. Which wasn't entirely wrong in how I saw it, because like in round 1, Semelsberger came out. Literally, the first punch thrown was a nuke from Semelsberger, but Wells kind of ate the first one, still staggered him back. Then shortly after that, got the knockdown. Actually, yeah. So he got the 2 knockdowns at the round. You could argue
he was stunning Wells with every shot that he landed clean.
You could argue, and I actually kind of will argue, and yes, the salty Semmelsberger better in me factors in here. Fight could have, and you could argue should have been stopped.
I mean, the way Wells fell on the second
Like,
knockdown was like he
stiffed
was
up.
like stiffed, and then he got hit 2 or 3 times, and then like grabbed a leg and continued to defend. Like, I think like a guy like, I guess Chris Tognoni might be a good example. Like, there's guys that will stop that fight just after seeing you not defend for a literal half second.
And like going stiff or going limp, like either of those two.
Like
whoever
whoever the ref was for the Ricky Glenn fight probably would have stopped this fight all the same.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Especially after that was the last fight we watched before this, so we think like a precedent set, maybe not set. It goes exactly opposite. Like I said, as a Semmelsberger, I mean, obviously I was jumping up and down yelling at my TV, stop it. So I'm obviously biased as fuck, but conversation to be had there. So, but also, I guess Mr. Talk out of both sides of my neck today, I scored a 10-9 Wells because he essentially won the last like 3.5 minutes of the round, got 2 big slam takedowns with both control and pretty solid damage. Like, he was landing hard and
good
clean on
ground and pound.
Semmelberger a lot.
He actually like amassed good damage on the ground, and the takedowns were violent in their actual takedown.
They were. So, I mean, I went back and forth. Like, this was tough. Like, when I say it, you score this either way, I'm not mad at you. I just laid out that whole argument that it was a knockout, and I scored it for Wells. So, I mean, I'm talking out of both sides of my neck here.
You know what I think is weird is I scored round 1 for Wells as well, but I had a super hard problem with it, right? Like, I was like, oh, God, like, Simmelsberger probably won the damage battle, but it's so close. And then Wells controlled so long in the fight, but, like, he almost got finished and, like, went back and forth, right?
Yes.
Here is what I would say is that I scored round 1 to Wells, 10-9. And I think when you do that, round 2 has to also be to Wells. Because I think round 1 was closer to Simmelsberger than round 2 is.
Ooh, see, I wrestled. I had the same problem, got a different answer. I wrestled with the same thing.
I'm glad, because that was the only thing I thought about this fight that was like super interesting to me was like, are rounds 1 and 2 the same or are they different? And how so?
You phrased that fucking perfectly, and I struggled that. I've been doing mental gymnastics with that fucking. It's like a riddle. Riddle me this, Batman.
Yeah, like it hurts me because
like,
it makes me question how do I score fights.
Well, because I went
Simmelsberger
in 2 because, and I was like, does that make me a hypocrite? They're very similar rounds. However, here's my logic. Here's how I arrived there. Round one, like you said, wrestled back and forth, almost impossible to score, leaned Wells. I thought Wells got less damage off in two than in one. So if I was teeter-tottering on one, but Wells' damage barely edged it out, I thought Wells' ground and pound was less active in two than one, from a numbers-wise and a damage-wise.
Okay, I
so
agree
that's
with you.
how I arrived at Simmelsberger in two, because it's real murky. Like my logic, I mean, how I arrived there, like I said, I thought that, now you could argue Simmelsberger got more damage off in one, so it's like ratio-wise, it's the same. I struggled with it. Maybe I'm a hypocrite. I went Wells 1, Simmelsberger 2. I don't know.
I'm so glad you said that, right? Because that was the question I had to ask myself was, did Simmelsberger do as much damage as he did in round one? Because I didn't think that Wells did as much in round one, or I mean as much as round two, but I also thought Simmelsberger didn't do as much as round two. Like it wasn't, I didn't think it was close to being stopped, or should have been stopped in round two rather than round one. So for me, it was almost like, okay, well, yeah, Simmelsberger still almost got the fight stopped, but it wasn't as much or as close as round one. And yeah, Wells didn't do as much damage in round one, but it was like the same margin in round two. So I almost was like, I have to follow in suit with myself and score 2 to Wells.
I feel you. I went down that path. I'll say this. Remember, the whole premise of round one was that he got knocked down, and you have a lot of catching up to do when you get knocked down early in a round. Like you have a wide gap to close. And Wells did that gap through ground and pound activity, right?
Yeah.
So he just like gained slightly less ground in round two on the comeback. You know what I'm saying?
I agree with you. I guess I just saw him in a wider deficit in round one.
Also true, though. Also true. How did the judges see it? Let's get to that.
So 3 judges have it all 3, because like we said, round 3 is clear to Wells, right? Like I think that's the most obvious round, because Simmelsberger doesn't drop him, and it's the same as the rest of the rounds, but Simmelsberger doesn't get that damage off.
Yes.
Now that being said, 2 judges, and all 3 of these being Vegas judges, right? We're in Vegas, like they all know how to score fights. Rick Winter scored round 1 and 2 to Simmelsberger, which I am okay with. Like, if we're going purely on damage,
I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it.
I'm okay with it. Like, I scored at 30-27 Jeremiah Wells, and I think 29-28 Simmelsberger is fully on the table, and that shows you this was a crazy fight. Every other judge scored 30-27.
And I'm out here on an island 29-28 Wells. I thought 30-27 Wells was a little wild. Like, I even was making that argument on Twitter and comment sections. So I was in there talking about how, like, you essentially did get knocked out, dropped 2 other times besides that. Telling me 30-27, fuck out of here.
I agree,
fuck out of here.
But that was what I'm saying with my argument of like, who do I think won the fight? Simmelsberger won the fight, but who do I think won the scoring of the fight? I think Wells won the point match, which is so crazy, and that's why I said
with you, but not 30-27. To give Simmelsberger no rounds is wild.
I agree, but I'm just saying if you look at it in 5-minute instances, like 2 is even close. Like I know that's the round you give to Simmelsberger, but that is still a close round.
Oh, it was close for sure, but that's what I'm saying. To have it be so close and then to just lean Wells every time. You know what I mean?
Like, it's a
forks
clear
in the road, and you always take left, and you might as well not even have forks in the road.
But it's your value system. Like, how do you value control versus damage? Like, that's clearly what this fight displays.
That's tough for Simmelsberger. I think if it was like from a perception and like a hard pill to swallow perspective, like the 30-27s just are tough for me, and I imagine are tough for Simmelsberger. Like 20, I think if it's a split decision with 29-28 Wells, you say, hey, you shrug your shoulders and you say, hey, that was a war. Could have gone either way.
I think he even did that, though, if you watch his reaction. Like, because they read 30-27, 29-28 Simmelsberger, and you can see it in his eyes. He's like, oh, damn, like, maybe this other judge sees this for me, and then he hears 30-27, and you see him literally go, like, all right, and, like, you know, like, nod his head and, like, clap his hands. Like, I think it is a coin flip of a fight. And I'm just saying the scores don't reflect a coin flip. However,
yes, that's
I
what
fall
I'm
on the
saying
side
as
of
well.
Wells, but if you do fall on the side of Wells, it's almost like a 30-27 almost makes more sense than a 29-28. No offense to you. Like, I know you laid it out well. I know you laid it out well. I'm just saying, like, on valuation of scoring points, like, it's super
I'm a little schizo. I'm a little bipolar. on my scoring 1 and 2 differently. I admit there's a little inconsistency there.
That's all
I
I'm
just
saying
thought,
is like 1 and 2 are so similar. It's just like is Simmelsberger does more damage in one, and the fight should be stopped in one. So if you're gonna score around for him, it almost should be one, right? Like that's how I feel about it.
we'll see. And I was so close to giving Simmelsberger 1 that when Wells did less than 2, I don't know. That's how I get there. We went
I
over it.
almost
I
feel like
mean,
you should just Randy from South Park pull your nuts out, ride him, and go Simmelsberger here 29-28. And I don't have a problem with it. I think it's fair.
I'm walking the line too much. I feel it. I'm fence riding. But yeah, so Wells squeaks out the victory, minus 110 on the split decision. I lose that straight bet, but like it was honestly one of those ones where I lost the bet, but my logic kind of like withstood, and it
I
wasn't
think
a
it's
bad
fair.
bet.
Like
Like
I even thought split decision was on the table here, which it was, and I think that
where
justifies
like
both sides of the coin, right?
what I'm getting at is like my reason for placing the bet was that Wells' chin gets touched, and that when Simmelsberger touches chins. So like my whole premise
You called
still
it. It just
intact.
wasn't like
Yeah,
you called 93% of the 100%. You know what I'm saying? Like you missed
exactly.
a seven
Yeah, yeah.
percent, and that's like the salty thing about MMA betting is like you
Yes.
can't be off, which is why I'm saying like for me to be 5 out of 5 is so lucky.
Let him hang. Let him hang, Randy. Let him hang. Get your wheelbarrow.
Carrying him like
Head
watermelons.
on down to
Ben
home.
Askren watermelon carrying.
Head on down to Home Depot. But
Get me a
but
wheelbarrow.
man, yeah, man. But up next, man, we'll keep it pushing here. We got Brogan Walker, plus 295 against another throat tap Brazilian. We mean that's a type of human that exists. Throat tap Brazilian.
Kyle Baralya.
It's a type of human that exists. We get him next week. I know you're stoked
Well,
for that.
shout out to Michael
20,
because he likes Baralya, and I'm gonna bet against him religiously just to say fuck you.
21-year-old Jasmine Lucindo, minus 360. Coming up from strawweight to flyweight. Vegas didn't care. Neither did I. And I honestly feel whacked for not betting this because all week I was kind of pounding the table for Lucindo. I got to the sports book, and the minus 360 just kind of scared me off. And the sports book wasn't allowing me to parlay over unders with money lines.
Oh, yeah,
I don't
this
know if
was
it's
an
because
over
I
all
was in
day.
person and not the kiosk, but if the only way I'm eating that minus 360 is on a parlay, and the only parlay I was doing was over under, so I wasn't able to parlay it. So I ended up doing a no bet. Loved Lucindu all week though. Big throat tap Brazilian guy, but especially on the women's side. But
I
but
literally my first notes on this fighter. Oh yeah, now I remember Slindo. I hate her throat tap.
but man, I mean, this is one where honestly, I don't know if we have to go round by round
I don't
unless I
want
don't
to.
know.
I don't want to. There's nothing close about it.
No, this was and Brogan Walker looked. I mean, she
Doesn't
looked
need
bad
to be
in
in the
Juliana
UFC.
Million
Doesn't
fight.
need to be in the
Not
UFC.
UFC level. Not UFC level, right? The Ultimate Fighter's kind of getting fugazi. Like Brogan Walker finalist.
Is that not what Dana
Good.
wants? Does he not want the farm league to be the league with his name on it? Like, let's be honest. Is he really going to put the best guys on Tough, or is he really going to put the best people in DWCS that he really wants to attach his name to?
And
Makes
Muhammad
sense.
Usman was in the same season as Brogan Walker was the champ, and he's garbage too. So it's like,
Well, but that's the
tough.
thing is he knew Muhammad Usman was garbage, so he was like, "Listen, I can't just put your brother on DWCS." And Kamaru was like, "All right, make him go through the Ultimate Fighter house. Don't test him for drugs. He won't be in the USADA pool then." All right, cool. We'll do that. All right. He won the fight against Pauga. Well, Pauga's now a light heavyweight, so we gave you a fugazi heavyweight fight, and now he's a heavyweight, and he's just gonna wrestle fuck your way into a victory? Like Dana would never sign this guy if Kamaru wasn't in the UFC. It's the saddest shit. It's the same as the Thanasis Antetokounmpo playing for the Bucks. That guy doesn't deserve a UFC contract or his NBA contract. But guess what? His brother, top 3 players in the world. So Usman, top 5 pound for pound people in the world when Mo was signed. Sorry about it. That's just how the fuck sports go.
No, for sure, and I'm great comparison. It doesn't only happen in the UFC, and all sports have like a long history of nepotism. But like Brogan Walker, to bring it back all the way home here is just like it was because Lucindu is a prospect herself. She's 21 years old, right? So she is the type of fighter that would be on like an Ultimate Fighter or a Dana White Contender Series. I think she did come to Dana White Contender Series. So what I'm getting at here, this isn't Rose Namajunas. This isn't. I mean, maybe one day, but I'm saying this isn't some top 5 girl. Brogan Walker didn't deserve to be in the cage. Like the gap was so wide, and this is a prospect. So like if it goes, champ, contender, prospect. There's nothing really below prospect. There shouldn't be a wide gap between
there's
prospect
not
and
UFC
anybody.
fighter. There's not UFC fighter.
Yeah, exactly. So like when we're saying like not UFC caliber, like that's how we're arriving at that conclusion. And I really don't know what other conclusion there is to take it. And no, and Lucinda, I mean, if she goes on to be top 3, top 5, I mean, maybe she's just fucking she's her, as the kids say.
If we're gonna break down the fight technically, which we're not gonna do because it's easy 30-27. Lucinda doesn't show me a whole lot. It's that Brogan Walker shows me she has 0 striking defense and 0 striking offense. She can only strike with her legs, which means that, okay, at least keep your hands up, which she doesn't do. So I don't understand, like, her whole place in the UFC. Like, she is not UFC caliber, can't get a takedown. It's a worthless person to have signed on a contract. Why are we paying her money?
It was so bad that, like, Cruz and Felder were being fair, honest, and objective and accurate and technical in their analysis.
And not even rude. It
sounded like they were roasting Walker, but they were just like, that's how bad the performance was, that if you just accurately say what's happening, it's a roast.
They were starting roasting Lucinda for not being able to be more active and finish her because it was like, you're better.
Yes. And like the speed difference was insane.
Accurate. All of it's
power difference was insane. The technique difference was insane.
You know what? You know what I learned? I don't like Lucinda moving forward. Her headspace is not good. Like, that's a fight she should have been like, I'm gonna dog walk this woman. Didn't have that approach, and it led to a decision.
You don't think first fight at a bigger weight class had anything to do with that? Like mental, I don't even know if you want to call it doubt, hesitancy. Like,
I don't know, man. Like,
does that factor in?
As a bigger guy, not too much, because like when I think about fighting up or down 10 pounds from like what I think I would fight at like 205, like whatever.
Yeah, but 115 to 125, smaller weight class.
But I still have seen Cejudo go 25 to 35 and wants to go to 45. Like, I don't think it's that big of a deal. 10 pounds is not that big of a deal.
Fair, all fair. Now, am I a fucking wild man for giving Lucinda 10-8 in round 3 for cutting the eye and just kind of? I mean, it was one-way traffic. Like, to me, 10-8, like dominance, damage, duration. Like, no judge did, but it's nobody really on verdict did.
It's funny you say that. I actually have in my notes, if I wasn't so checked out, I would probably maybe go 10-8, but I don't know. So 10-9. That's sort of what my notes say.
Okay, so like I'm not a crazy person.
She beat the shit out of her, but I was like, she's just beating the shit out of you for 15 minutes. Like, I don't know how to differentiate it.
Well, so how I differentiated was because like in round 1 there was some kicks, in round 2 there was some takedown attempts and some snoozy clinch from Walker. Round 3 there was literally nothing from Walker. It was one-way traffic. Like it was like a dummy. It was like when Sugar Sean makes the funny videos with the bob.
Yeah, the punching the bob.
Like that's what it was. Like, so that's why I went 10-8. It wasn't that Lucinda did anything more. It's that she was kind of redlining the 10-9, right? She was kind of pushing the limits of a 10-9 in 1 and 2, and that's what Walker doing. You take away the something from Walker, it pushes you over into the 10-8. I mean, it was like
that's fair.
A weird way to look at it, but I mean, no judge did. It was 30-27 unanimous times 3. I don't even think verdict was really pushing for a 10-8. But I think what you described, I don't think anybody else is going to be like brutally honest enough to say it. But I think that's what we have here. Like, I think nobody gave a fuck enough to give it a 10-8. It's not that it wasn't a 10-8. It was just like, who fucking cares?
That's the truth of the matter. But I was just like, God damn, this fight's like bought and sold. Like, you might as well have already called it after the first 2 rounds. Like,
have it on the main card over like think about the fights that were on the prelims.
I'm saying
this was on the main card.
It doesn't make a little weird sense. It was trying to shine. It was trying to shine DWCS and Tough. Like, it was trying to shine them, and it literally dulled them.
I don't know. See, I kind of like Lucinda. Like, she's gonna be like have fun fights. She has power. She has
next
speed.
You're gonna be breaking down slap fights. Like, what are we talking about?
Fucking don't move that pivot. Don't move that pivot. But
all right, well, let's keep pushing though, because I love the next fight.
We got to fight that matters. Yeah, we got to fight that matters.
And the result matters. Unfortunately.
Oh, does it? Or does it?
Yeah, unfortunate result. Because it's not a result. We have
So we
lightweights.
got
Bobby Green minus 260. Jared Gordon coming off of his Fugaze loss against Paddy Pimblett at plus 220. And I think that's
agreed.
the way to sell this, right? Is that like Bobby Green has been like fighting up against guys that are just like world class, and they've been kind of showing us like we're world class, and Bobby Green isn't quite where we are. All good. Love Bobby Green. Style super fun. Jared
Well, he
Gordon,
was beating the
meanwhile.
shit out of Drew Dober before he got knocked out. So
Oh, I
like,
don't think Drew Dober's in the world class.
no, me neither.
I'm
Okay, I
just
just
saying
wanted
his
to kind
first
of,
two
I
before that. So
wanted
like,
to draw a line there.
oh yeah, 100%. And they're kind of giving him like that slow fall down because he's super like fun to watch, right? Well, like
Yeah,
Jared
fan
Gordon,
favorite
this
for
almost
sure.
feels like a reward, right? Like, well, you fought Patty, you got Fugaze like robbed. We'll still give you a big
It's a
name.
win-win for both
You're on
guys.
the
It's a
main
win-win.
card. Yeah,
Great
like
matchmaking. Loved it.
agreed.
Co-main. No,
Agreed.
should have been the
Agreed.
co-main. How the fuck? Fuck Tavares Silva. What the? This should have been the co-main all day. I mean, it ends
Uh,
up not mattering, but this 1,000% should have been the co-main. Vegas paying a lot of respect to Bobby Green minus 260. Jared Gordon coming in at plus 220. A little bit smaller, big kind of jump in competition for him. In my opinion, I think Bobby Green is much better than Patty. So that's like the
yeah,
perspective that I'm operating from as a bettor and as a fan and I get analyst podcast or whatever. But like, I view Bobby Green here, honestly, Jared Gordon here, and Patty here because I think Jared Gordon beat Patty. I think so. I think Bobby Green is a lot better than Patty by my brain math. You know what I mean? Like,
I agree with you fully. And when we very first started talking about this fight, I had said I wanted the over and I wanted Gordon. And then I kind of started to walk back the Gordon take because I started to think to myself when you were talking about like, well, Bobby Green's way better than Patty, so like, why would Gordon even stay in this fight? I was like, yeah, why would he? That makes sense. Like, he shouldn't, and he can't get a takedown because Bobby Green's takedown
and the
defense.
step down for Bobby Green, like Bobby Green's been in there with like Islam and I mean all these guys.
Yeah, like just killers. So I'm like, well, Bobby Green's takedown defense probably gonna hold up. So I don't think Jared Gordon has a path to victory. So then I wanted the over in Bobby Green. That being said, what we end up getting is not quite the same.
No man, at what time did the fucking whole ending sequence? We'll describe it as. What time did that take place? You know what that goes?
Yeah, so the end sequence pretty much starts at about 40 seconds left in the round. Then, I mean, the official finish is 25 seconds left. So within that last 15-second window, from 40 seconds to 25 seconds in the first round.
No, okay. So I mean, the first 4 minutes of that fight were honestly a
I
lot
mean,
of fun.
you can score the
It was
first 4
awesome.
minutes. I thought Bobby Green was doing a good job. His stance was wild. He was kind of tagging Jared Gordon up with some shots. But however, Gordon was like giving his own threatening offense that made Bobby Green be honest and couldn't just like launch nukes at him. Interesting fight. Like I thought it was super
Uh,
fun.
Jared Gordon was landing bombs. Like I thought Jared Gordon was winning the damage battle. Now Bobby Green was walking him down, but you could argue that Gordon was
Uh,
pulling him in.
I think Gordon was doing his typical, not Gordon. I think Bobby Green was doing his typical like rolling with shots type of thing. Like I don't think he was getting hit near as hard as it looked like. There's
That's
there's
fair,
three
but
shots.
he was getting caught.
There's
Though.
three shots that landed huge on Bobby Green. Where like he like literally like
Yeah,
looked at him and was like, okay, you fucking caught me. But a lot of those like chain combos were not landing.
but I thought those three was. I don't think Bobby Green landed anything as impactful as those three.
Maybe not as impactful on a whole, but like I think he landed a lot of shots consistently, and they were coming from weird angles where I know they were hurting Gordon, and they were cutting him up too. Like you could see the damage on
Oh,
Gordon.
I'll say this. I viewed this fight kind of like Vegas did, about 2.5 to 1. Bobby Green's quite a bit better. I think that's saying something. So what I guess the perspective, I didn't score it because I saw my brain didn't like go into scoring mode because of how it takes place. But like, I just remember thinking to myself, like, God damn, Jared Gordon's doing a hell of a lot better than I fucking thought he was going to. Like, I remember like that thought
Yeah,
instinctively going through my head.
100%. I
So
thought it was a coin flip at the last sequence because I literally thought in my head like, oh, Bobby Green's like barely ahead, but like if he could stamp this round, like he'll clearly get it 10-9. But if Gordon gets a takedown, he's gonna win this 10-9. Like that was how
yeah,
close I was. Was like it
fair.
was very coin flipped up. But it was almost like Green with the pressure and walking him down. I was like, well, if it just ends like this, like he just keeps walking him down, I'll probably lean to Green. But very close round, very competitive round. Now, that all being said,
Yes.
they kind of both start going for it in that last 90 seconds. Well, 45 seconds into them kind of engaging, they both lean in for shots at the same time. And Bobby Green just like cleans Gordon's temple with his like forehead,
Yeah,
knocks him
I
down.
saw it in real time.
Me too. Me too. I didn't need a replay. I saw it
The camera
clearly a
angle was
headbutt.
good.
Clearly a headbutt. Like clearly a headbutt.
Clearly, yeah, no, like I thought clearly a headbutt, clearly a no contest. Like, because Bobby Green proceeded to finish it off like violent ground.
I hated seeing Gordon like go out like cold, like on the ground for a second. Like that sucked. I was like, damn man, like you got headbutted to the floor, and then like you actually got like finished on the ground. Like that sucks.
And then they were fucking a nut hair away from announcing it as a KO. Was Joe
Martinez?
Joe Martinez was saying like Bobby Green, and then like the commission ran and stopped him like it was a fucking bad early 2000s.
Yeah, he was like, and we will wait for a decision by the commission.
Yeah, but it seemed like something from a movie, and as soon as they did that, I knew we were going no contest, and everybody. So first off, like I instantly knew it was a no contest, like instantly. Like I saw the headbutt live.
I already knew what it was.
Like it was
We've
never.
seen it before.
I was like about to get mad when they were like reading it as a. When Joe Martinez was about to, I was like, "What the fuck? That's fucked." And then Chris Curtis's bitch ass on Twitter was fucking
can he
like,
shut the fuck up?
He was comparing it to his, like his was nowhere near, like that was a totally different scenario.
Yeah.
And then also, a lot of people forget that we just saw this. Well, no, I say just saw this, time is flying, but like Docus Holland, different than Docus Holland. Actually, this is even more clear cut than Docus Holland. Like this is even more open and shut, like obvious. This is like a more extreme version of that. First round, right? It's not like this happened at the end of the third round, and you could argue that we should score what we have or nothing. So first round, obvious headbutt. Like it was a no contest all day, every day. But I mean, it was a little, I guess, controversial to some people. Bobby Green was bitching about not getting his win money. I just thought it was an obvious no contest.
Me too. I don't think there's much more to say about that other than that. And like, if these guys want to run it back, I'm here for it.
You're here for it? I guess I am. I forget if it was Felder or Cruz that made the point that I think that there's like fun fights for both of these guys out there. So like I don't like need to see it again. Or maybe it was Joe Ban.
I don't either.
Like, I don't like.
I'm just saying that if Bobby Green wants to sit in there and cry about a win bonus, like, all right, run it back.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Fair. Like either way, like I guess I kind of don't care.
Like, bro,
there's other fun fights out there.
Like
that's
you
a fun
headbutted him.
fight.
Like, why are you crying about your win bonus? That's how I felt. Was like, it's the first time in my life I've been like, Bobby Green. Like, come on, man. Like, if someone headbutted you, like, you'd be acting very salty.
Yeah, for sure, man. And we'll keep it pushing, man. We got another fast finish up for you in the co-main event. We got Bruno Silva plus 140.
Fourth bet of the night.
Yeah, pretty bullish on the Bruno Silva taking on Brad Tavares minus 165. 35-year-old Brad Tavares, middleweight, fought pretty much the best of the best, definitely on the back end here. And then Bruno Silva also fought the best of the best. This is one where sometimes I get too much in my head, and knee-jerk reaction, love me some Bruno Silva. I started doing a little deep dive, and it's sometimes you got to go with your gut, which you did a good job of the other night. And like you and I think Michael went Bruno Silva too, and it was one where I kind of talked myself out of it, which is bad to do. Sometimes it's good to do. I mean, betting's such a crapshoot. You can kind of get lost in the sauce, if you will. And I just like I kept wondering myself, like, why does Vegas have Tavares as a favorite? Like, what do they know that I don't know? I got on one of those kind of conspiratorial gambler psycho tips in my head. And then, like, because, like, I've been out on Brad Tavares. Like, I'm not a big Brad Tavares guy. So it's not like I had some backdoor belief in Tavares. He's 35 years old. Bruno Silva's taken some losses, but, like, they're to the top. Like, they're the same guy, kind of, right? Like, they both lose to, like, the best fighters, right? But also Bruno Silva has, because like we all remember the Pereira fight, but I'm like, do I want to overhype this loss? And then he had the loss to Gilles Meerschaert in 2022, and Meerschaert's looked like shit lately. So it's just like, I was just like, and then like his win before that was Jordan Wright, who I think is terrible. Wellington Turman, I'm not a big fan of. So he has like a kind of like some Fugues wins, just like some lower level wins. The loss to Pereira, which gets talked about glowingly. The loss to Meerschaert, which is aging very poorly. So it's just like, damn, like how bullish on Silva am I? But the plus money should have tipped the scales for me. And then, Tavares last lost to Dricus, and then he has wins over a Makhmedov and lost to Shabazian and Adesanya. I don't know, bro. I just got lost in the sauce on my breakdown on
Yeah,
this one, to be honest.
mine was more. What do you like about Tavares at this point in his career? Because I think he's peaked, and I think he's on his way out.
I agree. I agreed. I never really questioned that. I just got lost in the sauce on like
And
is Silva. I mean,
I don't think Silva's on his way out. I think he's a tough. I think he's a
chart is.
Yeah, but I think Silva's tough. Yeah, but I think Silva's just a tough customer at 185. Like I think he's there to show up for fights. His ceiling's not high, but his floor is very high. So I was like, well, the guy that's on his way out. Like this is almost like a level test. Like, is he above or below Bruno Silva's level at this point in his career? And I just saw Tavares is like kind of done, man. Like kind of washed. Like, let me give you this instance. When Tavares was making his run in the UFC, was when Izzy started in the UFC. They fought at the finale of their of the Ultimate Fighter. So from where I think they're both at respectively in careers, they're both getting toward the end. Izzy's great. Tavares is okay. And I think the fall off from great to okay is huge. And I think Silva's riding right in that middle.
I thought Silva was okay too, though. So I thought we just had like okay on okay.
But I don't think he's falling off. I think he's going to withhold for another year and a half, 2 years on that skill level.
I agree. I think that's a fair take. I think your assessment, like I said, was a lot more not unhinged than mine. But like I said, I got lost in the sauce on this one. Should have wrote it with you. But yeah, man. I mean, we get another early finish here, and it ended up being a clinch knee to the right hand that finishes it. But I mean, Silva was landing the harder shots even up until that point.
He kind of was like pummeling him for the last 15 seconds of the fight, man. Like was landing like clean, like 4, 5, 6 shots. Had him dancing on the octagon, and then like knocked him down. Hit the one on the ground, and the ref stopped it. And Tavares protested like, "Oh, it's still in the fight." And to me, man, that was a bad protest, and it showed me like you really are done. And I will fade bad Tavares in his next fight, 100%.
I agree with every statement you just made, man. I was even saying it on Twitter because the fucking early stoppage tweeters were just out there last night.
That was crazy. I was like, CTE Society is out hunting tonight.
They're having fucking impact on our society.
Like they're gaining followers tonight.
And like, because, yeah, I mean, it was, and I know like Bruno Silva is like a knockout guy. So it's like, I don't know, it's different. I guess the context, I know Tavares is getting older, pretty much washed. I know Silva has fucking thunder in his hands. So I guess maybe my brain does some dot connecting. Like, I don't know, like in a vacuum, if I didn't have all that context, could a couple more punches landed? Like, I guess, but like, we're humans. We have rational thought and context. Like, if we don't use it, we're just chimps. Like, I don't know. It's like, I don't think there's anything wrong with knowing, like, all right, this guy's a little old, a little washed. This guy has a ton of fucking power. Like, maybe we don't need the last two. Like, this is over.
Agreed.
Tavares was shelling up. It wasn't like he was going for a single or you know what I mean, throwing up a submission or even getting back to his feet. Like, he was towed.
Yeah, I mean, even my notes, man, I have that might have been a single punch early, if not right on time. Like, he might have gotten hit one more time and the ref stops it, and is that what you're going to argue? Is that, like, well, he didn't hit me a third time on the ground, like, versus a second time? Like, all right, man, you were still, like,
it's like,
out.
Or like, if this is two, like, 23-year-old guys in the Contender Series, like, fighting for their, like, life and career, like, yeah, maybe you let it go on a little longer.
Yeah, but like, bro, you're 35. I'm trying to save your career a little bit here.
And it happens in every sport. Like, a foul that's called a technical on a rookie, it might get called a flagrant if you do it to 38-year-old LeBron. Or, like, when guys would hit Brady later in his career. Like, there's quicker – it happens in all sports. Like, older vets are like –
the foul on Julius Randle a few days ago would have been like a flagrant 2 if it was in the Memphis Lakers series.
Exactly. So it happens in all sports here. You know, if you like a pitcher hits like an absolute legend and on his like on his farewell tour, he's like 48 years old or he's like 40 years old and he's his one last, and you know, you might get ejected. Like it happens in all sports, man.
100%. That being said, I'm 4 out of 5 on bets. We got to keep it pushing to this main event where I have to see my final bet either hit or miss, and me either be exuberant, ecstatic, above myself, or just still happy that I hit 4 out of 5.
Exactly. And yeah, this one was gonna make it or break it for me. I was like, I had won one bet and lost one bet. So it was all hinging upon this one if I was gonna break even or if I was gonna eat gigs. But man, I felt good about this one. This one was everything came together on this bet breakdown for me as far as like the gut feeling aligning with the deep dig, aligning with the kind of philosophical how I saw it going, all fucking aligned to where my jaw was just I couldn't believe they were giving us plus money on Pavlovich, and that is not hindsight 2020. I felt that way all week fucking long.
Sorry, I thought the plus money was crazy, and in hindsight, I'm an idiot for not taking the extra plus on Pavlovich by KO because what was his
I
only way
thought
to
about
win
that.
this, right? Now, granted,
Yeah.
Pavlovich by KO, he's okay. So number 3 in the division, plus 135. Curtis Blaydes number 4, minus 155, right? Pavlovich by KO is plus 155. So like you're not really gaining much. Like they're essentially Vegas
Oh
saying like
wow,
if he wins, it is a finish. But if you can call it a
wow.
finish, we'll give you an extra 20.
I didn't see that because I wasn't at the kiosk, so I couldn't have fun looking
Yeah.
at all the props and all that. So I didn't. That's interesting. Only a 20 point money line or
Which made
odds
me
difference.
very questioning of Vegas's odds and why I thought like this is candy from a baby to just take Pavlovich to win in any facet.
Yeah, I agree. I agree for sure. And what was shocking from the jump, everybody said, can Pavlovich withstand Blades wrestling? Guess what? We still don't have an answer for that because Blades didn't fucking wrestle.
He shot one takedown, it was dog shit takedown, it was whenever he was hurt, and Blades tried to stand and show that he could strike the whole fight. Terrible decision.
Like, man, I mean, it's the most caveman casual take ever, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it anyway. Like, Curtis Blades should have wrestled more. Like seriously, like
He fought a terrible fight. It was one of the worst fights Curtis Blades I've ever seen him fight. Like IQ, style,
yeah,
like
he was like,
even shot attempts. Like his wrestling game looked fucked. Like he even looked flat when he walked out. Man, like he didn't look like Curtis Blades, and maybe that's he's getting old. Like he is getting old. I don't know, man. There's a lot to be desired with the Curtis Blades performance from last night, from before it started to after it ended.
well, like I said, I'm no fucking expert, but it's like if I have a fighter, any matchup, and you're like he's preparing for Sergei Pavlovich, I you the only bit of advice I can give you, me Dominic, is hey, you can't stand and bang with this guy.
Don't
Like,
stand and strike with him. Like please work your way to a takedown, like in close grappling into a single leg, like on the outside. Like
well,
don't
like
shoot double legs. He's huge.
if you do, it's like it better be like a lot of calf kicks, a lot of teep kicks. Like keep him the fuck off you if you are gonna like strike with him.
And
But like,
outside singles, like don't shoot where his weight is over your head. Like you have to shoot to the outside.
like just a hey, we're gonna stand and box, bro. Like what? Curtis Blades versus Pavlovich? Hell, like Pavlovich would have been a fucking, minus 800 if you tell me if it's a boxing match. Like seriously,
I think Vegas thought very much the same. Now, I
like
also thought to myself, Curtis Blades likes to come out, stand and bang for 2 minutes, and then resort to wrestling. And I thought that would be his downfall. And sure as fucking shit, I hit 5 for 5, and it is his downfall.
1,000%, 1,000. You're right. He does. He does do that. Even in the Aspinall fight,
All of
like,
his
he would
fights.
just kind of
He'll
like
always stand and bang for the
randomly
first
just,
3 minutes, and then he'll resort to wrestling when he realizes he
which
can't strike. It's the dumbest approach to any fight. That's why he's never got a title shot. It's why he can't get over the hump.
it should be the exact opposite. Like, hey,
Wrestle,
wrestle
wrestle,
the first
wrestle
three
until you
minutes,
have
and
to
then
strike.
get them tired of these heavyweights, right? Like they wrestle for 3 minutes and then stand and bang with them, and they have, like, but he does the exact like wrong approach, like the exact. Like I said, I'm no fucking, I'm no, Gilbert Melendez. I'm just saying, like, hey, sir, or hey, Curtis, like, don't stand and box with Sergey Pavlovich. Like, hey, maybe don't do
Like,
that.
hey,
Like,
the American wrestler shouldn't stand with the Russian striker. I think just on its face, that statement says a lot.
when Pavlovich isn't just a striker, bro. Like, he is like the closest thing we got to Francis. Now that Francis is gone, like he is nuclear heavyweight. Like Derek Lewis is washed. Like he is like Tuivasa, kind of washed. Like Rosenstruik,
Guess who the
kind of
one?
washed.
Guess who the one loss that you see from Pavlovich in his career is? It's his first fight. It's over him, And guess what happens in that fight?
He got wrestled by Overeem.
Overeem decided, I'm not going to stand and bang with this guy. He's very dangerous on the feet. I'm going to wrestle him, and I'm going to ground and pound finish him, and I'm going to beat him up. And that's a veteran IQ from a saucy heavyweight fighter in a generation that we're missing today.
So Pavlovich is like, I mean, he's the closest thing we got to Ngannou now. So he's the new Ngannou. I mean, that's how I'm looking at him.
To me,
and
bro, it doesn't matter because when I look at Stipe and John, both those guys are smarter, and they're just going to take him down, and they're just going to ground and pound him and finish him. It's the same way either way.
Like if Overeem can do it, they can do it.
Overeem did it when he was old. Stipe can do it when he's old, and Jones can do it when he's damn sure younger than those two are.
Yeah, for sure. I don't disagree with that take. I have a different take. Now, to actually how this one wraps up, 3 minutes and 8 seconds, we get the TKO. It was a right hand to ground and pound. I mean, it looked like every other Sergei Pavlovich highlight you've ever seen. Like, it was – guys, he's the – like, him and Semmelsberger, bro, like, they're – like, there's no such thing as, like, having it – just like I said, Francis, too, like, there's no such thing as, like, having a chin when you fight these guys. Like, it does – like, that's not a thing.
And they strike from weird angles, too, right? Like, Pavlovich's arms are so long, that uppercut that he throws is like a twisting, like, weird uppercut. Like, it's almost like a jab, but underneath, like, his fist is turned over and he's twisting it under your arm. Like, he strikes from weird angles. He can give guys a lot of fits on the feet if he's smart enough to stay on the feet.
Well, and also, like, he's one of these guys that he can hit you on the forehead and knock you out, like that Jamal Hill shit. Like, they don't even have to touch your chin necessarily. Like, they can knock you out from your eye socket, from your forehead, from, you know what I mean? Like, it's from the fucking side of your head. Like, the punch doesn't even have to land clean. It's like a fucking weapon. It's a club. It's not like, it's different. It's very different.
Let me ask you this before we wrap it up. Last question, I think. So, Miocic and Jones kind of signed a fight. I think that's going to happen, right? It's down the line. It's so essentially it being so far down the line and being so focused on those two fighting, Pavlovich on the outside looking in. Do you have Gane and Pavlovich fight for the next guy up? Potential interim belt holder?
You could do that. I don't think they will do that. I think Pavlovich waits, and I have a scenario that I think is like
Aspinall Gane fight when Aspinall's back.
Yes, that's what I want for both of those guys. I think you do Aspinall Gane, Sergey waits, and there's a scenario where both Jones and Stipe retire after that fight.
I agree.
You have a vacant title. You have a vacant title with Pavlovich versus the winner of Gane Aspinall.
I like it.
In my like, I don't even want to say dream world because I don't want John to retire, but like, I think that's like a likely scenario. That's a fun scenario. It checks a lot of boxes, answers a lot of questions, you know. And then you still can do like either like a Blaydes Aspinall or Blaydes Gane, or there's other matchups you can do there. But I think I've been hearing a lot of like heavyweight slander lately, saying how like I think the division's as fun as it's ever been. Once we kind of get, because Jones Stipe seems almost like this thing that we like have to do. It doesn't seem like it seems like something like a prerequisite. Like it's just we got to get kind of past this one, and then it really starts to pop off. You know what I mean? It's like
right.
So yeah, like that. I don't know. I think it's a lot of fun. I'm really high on Pavlovich. I think our answer is Curtis Blaydes, you know, secretly the best heavyweight. All those YouTube videos you see, I think the answer is distinctively no.
Agreed.
Like, now Aspinall coming back is the real wild card, the real light of fire into the division. That's what gets a lot of fun. Cyril Gane's still a problem for 95% of these guys. You know what I mean?
I agree.
But probably not Aspinall. I think Aspinall Gane looks a lot like Jones Gane, honestly. Or if not, Aspinall's dumb because he could easily do that. And so, well, then, like, hey, Rosenstruik Almeida's in like 3 weeks, and like it would be a rocket ship. But I mean, they're building Almeida. Like Almeida gets past Rosenstruik, he's up there with the big boys in the big conversation.
Here's what I'll say: if Almeida finishes Rosenstruik in like spectacular fashion, I'm okay with Almeida Pavlovich.
He's going to.
I'm here for it. I agree with you. I'm just saying I'm okay with it at that point.
Almeida's a bad matchup for Pavlovich.
I agree. Like I think it's very fun. It's a dark horse of the division.
He's also small, man. He's going to have like a 40-pound weight disadvantage
Hey,
against all these guys.
that's that 225 weight class I was talking about earlier.
Oh, I know, dude. It's a lot of fun. But hey, this episode was a lot of fun. We're gonna be breaking it down into some clips. Shout out Michael. Check out our channel. Subscribe. We're gonna have some fire reels, shorts coming your way. Follow us on Twitter at Beefy Breakdown. We've been hella active. We'd love to engage with you on there. Let us know if you agree, disagree with our takes in the comments. Appreciate everybody for watching.
Yes, sir. We'll see you guys next week. Later, Dom.